A few quick responses to some of the questions. There was one about what is the difference in the resilience and normal development program or a poverty alleviation program. I think if you leave aside specific resilience oriented things like cyclone shelters and such things, which I gave an example, if you take those out, I think resilience deals more with the how the development is done. If you have the same development program but it is done in a particular way, it will lead to resilience building in the community. You asked an example of access to health care. Now access to health care can be looked at as a routine development problem, and there can be ways done around it. But if it is done along with awareness about health, what lead to ill health, about what are the behavioral changes required, then I think that is something which builds in a resilience so that a recurrence of those health problems will be prevented in the first place. So I think how the development is done will also decide a lot whether it is going to lead to resilience or not. The second, there was a question about increased space for civil society organizations. I think we need to distinguish very carefully between community organizations and the broad civil society organizations. Community organizations are different, they are the stakeholders. The ultimate stakeholders are they. If you are talking of calamities, if you are talking of shocks, if you are talking of stress, they are the ones who are facing and into it 24/7. The civil society organizations are still peripheral. So it is not just a question of building space for civil society organizations, it is how we bring community institutions, community processes, how we make them central to the whole effort. And I think those civil society organizations who give an importance to that type of a centrality of community institutions will always be accepted. I think because ultimately even the politician is accountable to the people. In a shorter or a longer term.
Girish, I'm afraid I have to.
Okay. Just one thing about corruption and.
Okay, go quickly.
Yeah. Quickly. I think corruption can occur at any level, but when the person who is in charge of resources, he is face to face with the beneficiary of the resources, the corruption can be kept in greater check. So I think whenever that type of ability to ask questions and face-to-face interaction, which can happen again at community level, can put a check on corruption much better than it can at a distant place.
Thank you, Girish. Anything to add? Would you like to say anything?
Yes, I'll answer one question. Yes. I'll answer one question. China pays great attention on social resources to participate in the work of disaster prevention and reduction, improves the capacity building and perfects of social motivation and the social participation system by strengthening the management and the service. Yes.
Thank you. If you bear with me, I think we can keep going for another 5-10 minutes. We started a bit late, so I'd like to get another. You've heard about rapid fire presentations. Let's get some rapid fire questions in. So let's get 5 more questions. We won't necessarily go back to you, panel, but I'd like to get the questions on the table. So you, sir, you have a question? 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Mohammed Mansouri from FAO. And thank you for a very exciting discussion and panels. I wanted just maybe to get the issue of governance closer to the resilience mandate, which is what are the failures in governance that then harm the resilience or that undermine resilience. You take, for example, the resilience of natural resources, okay? Land tenure, water, fisheries, and so on. And we know that a lot of conflicts actually result from, bad governance of natural resources. And at the same time, natural resources are the major assets of the most vulnerable people, especially, you take the pastoralism areas, the mobility issue, the sedentarization debate. So those are, I think, the issues, and we can ask ourselves, take the issue differently and ask ourselves, what is it that is needed to do in terms of governance in order to build better resilience, okay? Because failure in governance in a number of, areas actually, do undermine resilience? I don't know. This is a general
That's great,
question.
thank you. No, it's good to remind us of that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, my question is kind of related to the previous question, but mainly directed to the comments that Girish made and some of the comments from Mamadou. Mamadou's kind of opening remarks related to complexity of resilience. And Girish talked about seamless governance. So my question relates to kind of the coordination and some of the points that Jackie made about the government coordination, public, private. And I'm thinking about several levels of governance. In most of countries in Africa, we're moving toward devolved systems. And this is kind of creating governance by chaos of some kind. And to kind of have activities and programs coordinated across these scales, and goes back to that whole question of the risk of undermining governance capacity. And how do you create these processes? And it goes back to Rosalind's point about institutional memory across these transitional scales of governance. Just some thoughts on what you guys think about that.
Thank you. The bell is tolling. Yes.
Yeah, my name is Justus Liku, and I work for Care International. And if really we are to improve the resilience of farmers, I think we have to focus on value addition. Okay? And if we are to focus on value addition, then I think the 3 Ps, the public-private partnership, comes in. And my question is, normally when we are focusing on the area of value addition, the injection, the investment kind of becomes higher. So we need, if it's the farmer to put in some money, the private sector to put in some money, and maybe the government to help with infrastructure. And my concern has been some tensions, especially between the private sector and the farmers, on how the investment will be managed and governed. I would like to hear if there are some good examples on how to manage that. Thank you.
Thank you. And then our final question was over here. This gentleman.
I think it was given to me. Okay,
You've
my name is
captured the
Godfrey. I
microphone.
work with IFPRI. My question or comment is directed towards Jacqueline from Tanzania. I liked your suggestion that our efforts to strengthen mutual accountability or accountability systems should go beyond the center to local governments or decentralized systems of government, depending on which country. You may be aware that the African Union, working with the NEPAD agency, are working with countries to strengthen mutual accountability systems around agriculture development investment plans through what are called agriculture joint sector reviews. So my question or comment is, one, you as an association in Tanzania, are you aware of this effort? And what role are you playing, one, to support the process or be involved in the process at the center, but also how that can be taken to local governments as you suggested? What can you do to support that process?
Okay, thank you. So your question was hijacked. I'm sorry, you have to take it up with that gentleman outside. Sorry. And Jackie, you can take that up afterwards outside as well, because we've run out of time. I can't sum up, there's too much to sum up, and I'm going to try and do it later on anyway. But the things that came out for me with the value-added issue, again, kept coming up in different ways. What's the value-added? I know, zero. What's the value-added of resilience? The accountability issue kept coming up, as it should in a session about governance. And a related issue about capacities, not just for accountability, because that's a key thing. You can have all the data out there, but if you can't access them and you can't make sense of them, and even if you can access them, make sense of them, if it doesn't matter, then that's not real accountability. And then finally, this last point, which I thought was very important, about governance being something that a failure of governance can lead to the need for more resilient systems, but also enlightened governance and better governance can actually support resilience. And we probably underplayed the transformative part of the resilience triad in this session. So that's something I will try to draw out a bit more in the afternoon. I'd like to thank you for coming and for great questions and comments, and I'd like to thank our panel for a fantastic set of presentations. Thank you.